There's a particular kind of emotional tension that exists in the space between two people when one of them is deeply in love but too afraid to say so. It is not a comfortable silence. It is not an empty one. It is a silence full of meaning, packed with stolen glances, carefully chosen words, deliberate gestures, and 1,000 small moments that all point to the same truth that remains unspoken. If you have ever found yourself wondering whether someone feels more for you than they are letting on, you already know this silence. You have felt it. You have sat inside it, turning it over in your mind, searching for certainty in a space that offers none. Love is one of the most powerful forces in human experience, and yet it is also one of the most frightening. The very depth that makes love so extraordinary is the same depth that makes it so terrifying to confess. To tell someone you love them is to hand them something irreplaceable, your vulnerability, your truth, your heart, with absolutely no guarantee of how they will respond. For many people, that risk feels impossible, and so they hold it in. They carry their feelings quietly, carefully, like something fragile they are afraid to drop. This is especially true for men, who are often conditioned from a young age to associate emotional expression with weakness. Many men grow up learning to suppress what they feel rather than speak it, to show strength by staying silent rather than risk the perceived exposure of admitting they care deeply about someone. And so when love arrives, as it always does, without asking permission, many men find themselves caught between what their heart knows and what their pride will allow. They love deeply and say nothing. They feel everything and reveal almost nothing. And in that space between feeling and speaking, they begin to communicate in the only language they feel safe using, the language of action. That is what this piece is about. It is about learning to read that language. It is about understanding that love does not always arrive wrapped in grand declarations and perfectly timed confessions. Sometimes love arrives quietly, through patterns and habits and behaviors so consistent that once you see them, you cannot unsee them. Sometimes the most honest love story is told not in words, but in the way someone shows up for you, again and again, without ever explaining why. The 15 signs explored here are not theories or guesses. They are patterns rooted in human psychology, emotional behavior, and the very real ways that people express what they feel when they are not yet able to say it directly. Each one is a window into the interior world of someone who cares for you more than they have admitted. Each one is a sentence in the love letter they have not yet found the courage to write. Read them carefully. Pay attention, because sometimes the most important things a person says to you are the things they never quite manage to put into words. 1. He finds excuses to be around you. When a man is in love but too afraid to say it, one of the clearest signs is that he constantly finds reasons to be near you. He doesn't just show up when it's convenient. He manufactures opportunities to spend time with you even when there's no obvious reason to. He offers to help you with tasks he wouldn't normally care about. He shows up at places he knows you'll be. He volunteers for the same projects at work. He suggests group hangouts just so he can be in the same room as you. This behavior reveals something his words won't. A man who is simply friendly doesn't rearrange his schedule around someone. A man who is secretly in love does. He may pretend it's all coincidence, but deep down, being near you gives him a sense of comfort and excitement that he can't explain and isn't ready to admit. Pay attention to the patterns. If he always seems to find a way into your world, it's not random. He's drawn to you like a magnet. And no matter how much he tries to act casual about it, his actions are telling the truth his mouth refuses to speak. He might linger a little longer than necessary during conversations, walk you to your car even when it's out of his way, or find the smallest excuse to extend the time you spend together. The truth is, people make time for what matters to them. When a man is in love and too scared to confess it, he compensates by simply being present, hoping that closeness alone will somehow say everything he can't bring himself to say out loud. 2. He remembers the little things. There is a profound difference between someone who listens and someone who truly hears you. When a man is secretly in love, he pays attention to the smallest details about your life, details that most people would forget within minutes of a conversation ending. He remembers that you mentioned your favorite coffee order 3 weeks ago. He recalls the name of your childhood pet you brought up once in passing. He asks about your sister's job interview that you told him about casually without expecting him to remember. This kind of attentiveness is not accidental. It requires genuine interest and emotional investment. A man who remembers the little things is a man whose mind keeps returning to you long after the conversation is over. He replays your words, stores your preferences, and files away every small detail because, to him, nothing about you is insignificant. This is one of the most underrated signs of deep love. People in love are naturally curious about the person they adore. They want to know everything: your fears, your dreams, your habits, your history. And because their feelings are real, the information sticks. They don't have to try to remember. It happens naturally because you occupy their thoughts constantly. When a man brings up something you mentioned once without expecting him to hold on to it, take notice. That's not just good memory. That's devotion in disguise. He's showing you, without saying a single romantic word, that you matter to him on a level that goes far beyond friendship. Every small thing you've shared with him has been carefully kept, because in his heart, every piece of you is worth holding on to. 3. He gets jealous but plays it cool. Jealousy is one of the most honest emotions a person can experience, precisely because it's so difficult to fake and even harder to hide. When a man is in love but won't admit it, his jealousy becomes one of the most telling signs of his true feelings. The moment another man enters the picture, a colleague who texts you too often, a friend who clearly likes you, or someone new you've started spending time with, something shifts in him. His mood changes. His energy changes. He becomes quieter, slightly withdrawn, or suddenly more attentive to you than usual. The key is that he tries desperately to play it cool. He won't admit he's jealous. He'll shrug it off, laugh it away, or pretend he doesn't care. He might make a casual comment about the other person that carries a subtle edge, or ask questions about them in a tone that seems indifferent but isn't. He doesn't want to reveal the depth of his feelings, so he works hard to maintain a composed exterior while quietly battling the storm of emotions inside. This internal conflict is incredibly revealing. A man who feels nothing for you wouldn't care who else is in your life. He wouldn't notice. He wouldn't feel that tight, uncomfortable feeling in his chest when you mention someone else's name with a smile. But a man who loves you, even if he can't say it, feels every shift in your attention like a small earthquake. Watch how he behaves when other men are around you. His body language, his tone, and his level of engagement will tell you more about his heart than any conversation ever could. 4. He texts you first but keeps it casual. In the age of digital communication, the way someone texts you speaks volumes about how they feel. When a man is in love but too scared to show it, he will almost always find reasons to initiate conversation, but he'll wrap those conversations in the most casual language possible. He'll send a meme he thought of you when he saw. He'll ask a random question he could have easily Googled. He'll check in with a simple, "Hey, how's your day going?" that seems effortless but was probably thought about before he hit send. The initiation is the key detail here. People reach out to who they want to talk to. A man who texts you first, consistently, regularly, and without any practical reason, is a man who simply wants a connection with you. He's not waiting for you to need something. He's not texting because it's convenient. He's reaching out because you crossed his mind, which means you cross his mind often. The casual tone is his armor. Keeping things light and low stakes protects him from vulnerability. If he texts you something funny or random, he can always retreat behind the excuse of just being friendly if things feel too exposed. It's a way of staying close without risking rejection. He gets the reward of talking to you while minimizing the emotional risk of being too obvious about how much he cares. But consistency betrays the casualness. Anyone can send one random text. When it happens repeatedly, when is always the one to open a conversation, it stops being coincidence. It becomes a pattern, and patterns reveal the truth that carefully chosen words are designed to hide. 5. He introduces you to the people who matter. When a man keeps his personal world separate from someone, it usually means that person is not a priority. But when a man introduces you to his closest friends, his family, or the people who are most important to him, he is making a statement, even if he hasn't found the words to make it out loud. This is one of the most meaningful signs that his feelings run deeper than his letting on. A man who is only casually interested in someone doesn't bother with introductions. He keeps things surface level and compartmentalized. But a man who is quietly in love cannot help but want to merge his worlds. He wants his best friend to meet you. He mentions you to his mother. He brings you along to gatherings where only the people he truly cares about are present. These are not small gestures. They are deliberate invitations into the inner circle of his life. There's also a deeper psychology at work. Introducing someone to the people you love is a form of seeking approval, and people only seek approval for things they truly care about. He wants his friends to like you. He pays attention to how his family responds to you. He notices whether the important people in his life see what he sees in you. This behavior also signals a certain vision of the future. When a man integrates you into his social world, he's imagining a future where you belong there permanently. He may not be ready to say, "I love you," but by opening his inner world to you, he's showing you that in his heart, you're already in it, already important, already real, already someone worth keeping. 6. He's protective without being possessive. There is an important distinction between a man who is controlling and a man who genuinely cares about your well-being. When a man is secretly in love with you, he becomes naturally protective, not in a suffocating or demanding way, but in a way that feels safe, warm, and considerate. He wants to make sure you got home safely. He steps in when someone is making you uncomfortable. He walks on the outside of the pavement. He checks in when he knows you're going through something difficult. This protectiveness comes from a place of love rather than insecurity. He's not trying to own you or control your choices. He's not checking your phone or dictating who you spend time with. He simply cares deeply about your safety and happiness, and that care expresses itself in small, consistent acts of protection that you might not even notice until you look back and see the pattern. A man who doesn't have deep feelings for someone remains indifferent to their well-being beyond a surface level. He might ask if you're okay out of politeness, but he won't go out of his way to ensure it. A man in love, however, feels a genuine, almost involuntary need to shield you from harm, discomfort, or pain, even when it costs him something. This kind of quiet, respectful protectiveness is one of the purest expressions of love that exists. It asks nothing in return. It places your comfort above his own, and it happens naturally, without performance or expectation. He protects you not because he feels entitled to, but because something deep in him simply cannot stand the idea of you being hurt, and that feeling, unspoken as it may be, is love in its most honest form. 7. He listens, really listens. In a world full of noise and distraction, genuine listening has become one of the rarest and most powerful forms of attention a person can offer. When a man is in love with you but afraid to admit it, one of the clearest ways that love surfaces is through the quality of his listening. He doesn't just hear your words, he absorbs them. He puts his phone down. He makes eye contact. He asks thoughtful follow-up questions. He tracks the details of your stories and returns to them later with the kind of recall that can only come from genuine engagement. Most people listen to respond. They wait for a pause in the conversation so they can insert their own thoughts, opinions, or experiences. A man who truly loves you listens to understand. He wants to know how you feel, what you think, what's happening in your world. Not so he can redirect the conversation, but because your inner life genuinely fascinates him. Every word you speak matters to him. This kind of listening is emotionally intimate. It requires presence, patience, and a real investment in another person's experience. It cannot be fake for long. A man who listens to you the way this man does is telling you, without using a single romantic word, that you are the most interesting person in the room to him. Notice how he responds after you've shared something. Does he remember what you said the next time you speak? Does he reference it days later? Does he ask how things turned out? These are the fingerprints of a man whose heart is fully engaged, even when his lips remain closed about the depth of what he feels. 8. He goes out of his way to help you. Actions, as the saying goes, speak louder than words. And when a man is in love but too afraid to say it, his actions become his loudest declaration. One of the most consistent patterns you'll notice is that he goes out of his way to help you, often without being asked, often at some cost to himself, and almost always without expecting anything in return. He offers to drive you somewhere even when it's far from his route. He fixes something in your home. He stays late to help you with a project. He shows up when you need someone, without hesitation and without complaint. This is not the behavior of someone who sees you as just a friend or casual acquaintance. People guard their time, energy, and resources carefully. When someone consistently and voluntarily invests all three in your life, it reflects a depth of feeling that goes far beyond friendship or social obligation. He helps you because helping you makes him feel connected to you. It gives him a reason to be present in your life without having to explain his feelings. There's also something deeply revealing about the kind of help he offers. He pays attention to what you struggle with. He notices when you're overwhelmed before you even say it. He anticipates needs you haven't expressed. That level of attentiveness is born from love, from the constant, quiet observation of someone who cares deeply about your life. Every time he shows up for you, he is making a choice. He is choosing you over his comfort, his time, his convenience. And while he may not frame it in romantic terms, that repeated choice, made freely and consistently, is one of the most honest confessions of love a person can make. 9. His nervous around you. There is something quietly beautiful about a strong, confident man who becomes slightly undone in the presence of someone he loves. When a man has deep feelings for you that is not ready to voice, you'll often notice small but unmistakable signs of nervousness in his behavior around you. He might stumble over his words when he normally speaks with ease. He laughs a little too quickly at something you say. He runs his hand through his hair, fidgets with his phone, or loses his train of thought mid-sentence when you look at him directly. These are not signs of weakness. They are signs of investment. We only become nervous around people who matter to us. The higher the stakes, the more the nerves show. A man who doesn't care about your opinion of him will be completely relaxed in your presence. But a man who secretly loves you has everything on the line in every interaction, even when the conversation is about something completely ordinary. His nervousness is his feelings leaking out through the cracks of his composure. His working hard to appear calm, cool, and collected, to not reveal too much. But love has a way of bypassing all the careful defenses we put up. It shows in the slight catch in his voice, the way his eyes move to you when he thinks you're not looking, the way he tries a little harder when you're around. Nervousness in love is not awkwardness, it's vulnerability. It's the physical and emotional expression of someone who cares so deeply that the possibility of disappointment or rejection feels genuinely terrifying. And that terror, uncomfortable as it is one of love's most honest signatures. 10. He mirrors your body language. Body language operates beneath a level of conscious thought, which is precisely why it is so revealing. When a man is in love with you, his body responds to you in ways he hasn't consciously decided, and one of the most telling of these responses is mirroring. Without realizing it, he begins to reflect your posture, your gestures, and your movements. If you lean forward, he leans forward. If you cross your arms, he does the same. If you slow your speaking pace, he unconsciously matches it. Mirroring is a deeply rooted human behavior that signals connection, rapport, and attraction. Psychologists and behavioral researchers have studied it extensively and consistently find that people mirror the body language of those they are drawn to. It is an instinctive form of nonverbal communication, a way the body says, "I am with you, I am attuned to you, I feel connected to you," without the mind's intervention. When a man mirrors you consistently, it means his nervous system is synchronized with yours. He is subconsciously telling you that he is fully present with you, that he resonates with your energy, and that he feels a bond with you that goes beyond the surface. This kind of attunement doesn't happen with people we're indifferent to. It happens with people who have moved us. Watch for it in subtle moments. How he positions himself toward you in a group, how his expressions shift to match yours, how his energy calibrates to your mood. These small physical echoes are some of the most honest expressions of love that exist, because they happen without permission, without plan, and without the protective filter that keeps his words guarded and his feelings locked away. 11. He gets quiet when you mention other guys. Words can be rehearsed. Expressions can be controlled. But silence, particularly a sudden, charged silence, is very difficult to manufacture or disguise. When a man is secretly in love with you, one of the most revealing moments comes when you casually mention another man. It might be a coworker you think is funny, someone you've been talking to, or just a male friend whose name comes up naturally in conversation. And in that moment, something in him shifts. The energy changes. He goes quiet. He might not storm off or make a dramatic scene. In fact, he'll probably work hard to seem unbothered. He might offer a short response, nod without real engagement, or suddenly become very interested in something else in the room. The conversation that was flowing easily moments before suddenly has a different texture. And if you look closely, you'll catch it, that brief flicker of something crossing his face before he smooths it away. This reaction is involuntary. He can't help it. The mention of another man activates a feeling in him that he hasn't given himself permission to fully acknowledge, something that sits uncomfortably between protectiveness and longing, between love and fear. He doesn't want to appear jealous, because appearing jealous would require admitting he has feelings worth protecting. So he goes quiet instead. The silence itself is the confession. It says, "This bothers me more than I want it to." It says, "You matter to me in a way that makes this painful to hear." It says everything he hasn't yet found the courage to put into words. And sometimes, if you're paying attention, silence is the clearest sentence a person can speak. 12. He treats you differently than everyone else. One of the most undeniable signs that a man's feelings for you run deeper than he lets on is the way he treats you in comparison to everyone else around him. It's not that he's unkind to others. He may be warm, sociable, and generous with the people in his life. But with you, something is different. The tone of his voice softens. His attention sharpens. His patience deepens. He shows a version of himself with you that others simply don't get to see. This differential treatment is not something he consciously decides on. It happens naturally, driven by the feelings he's trying to keep contained. He laughs more genuinely with you. He's more honest, more open, more present. He tolerates things from you that would irritate him from someone else. He goes further for you without thinking twice about it. The invisible line between how he treats the world and how he treats you becomes clear once you start paying attention. People reserve their softest, most careful behavior for those they love most. We are patient with people who matter. We are attentive with people we admire. We are gentle with people we're afraid of losing. When a man treats you with a consistency and tenderness that he doesn't extend to others, it's because his heart has made a distinction, consciously or not, between you and everyone else. Ask the people around you. His friends will notice. His family will notice. Even strangers who observe you together for 5 minutes will notice. There is an energy between a man and the person he loves that is entirely distinct from his energy with anyone else, and no amount of emotional guardedness can fully conceal it. 13. He opens up about things he doesn't share with others. Vulnerability is one of the most guarded human currencies. Most people, and men especially, given the cultural pressures many of them grow up with, keep their inner world tightly protected. They share surface-level information with the majority of people in their lives and reserve the deeper, more tender parts of themselves for very few. So when a man begins to open up to you about things he doesn't share with others, it is not a casual act. It is an act of profound trust, and trust of that depth is almost always rooted in love. He might tell you about a painful chapter of his past that he never discusses. He might share his fears, his insecurities, or his private dreams. He might talk about his family dynamics, his regrets, or the things that keep him up at night. These are not topics he brings up in general conversation. They surface with you because being around you creates a feeling of safety, a feeling that you will handle what he shares with care rather than judgment. This emotional opening is both a symptom and an expression of love. He is letting you into the parts of himself that he has kept private, and in doing so, he is implicitly saying, "I trust you. I feel safe with you. You matter to me in a way that makes me willing to be seen." Recognize the weight of this. When someone shares their unguarded self with you, they are giving you something irreplaceable. They are choosing to be known by you. And a man who chooses to be emotionally known by you even while holding his romantic feelings close, is a man whose heart is already far more open to you than his words suggest. 14. His friends already know who you are. There is a detail so easy to overlook and yet so deeply significant. When you meet his friends for the first time, and they already know who you are. They know your name. They know what you do. They might even know specific things about you, your sense of humor, a story you told him, something you're working toward. And in that moment of recognition, you catch a glimpse of something important. He talks about you. A lot. A man does not bring someone up in conversation with his closest friends unless that person occupies a significant place in his mind and his heart. His friends are his inner circle, the people he vents to, laughs with, and confides in. The topics he brings to that space are the ones that genuinely matter to him. If your name comes up there, if they already have a sense of who you are before you've even met them, it's because you have been a recurring presence in his thoughts and conversations for some time. His friends often know the truth before anyone else does. They see how his face changes when he mentions you. They notice how he keeps steering the conversation back to something you said or something you did together. They tease him about it, or they store the information quietly. But either way, they know. And when you finally meet them, their familiarity with you is the evidence. This is one of the most quietly powerful signs of love precisely because it doesn't involve him at all in the moment you discover it. It's the truth of his feelings surfacing through someone else. Proof that even when he's not with you, you are still, somehow, present in his world. 15. He shows up every single time. All the other signs on this list matter. But this one is the foundation beneath all of them. Because at the end of the day, love is not primarily a feeling. It is a practice. It is the repeated, deliberate act of choosing someone. And a man who shows up for you every single time, in every situation that matters, is practicing love even if he has never once said the word. He shows up when you're going through something difficult and need someone to sit with you. He shows up when you've had a bad day and need to talk. He shows up when you need help with something practical, when you're celebrating something small, when you're scared, when you're confused, when you need someone to simply be there. He doesn't make excuses. He doesn't cancel at the last minute. He doesn't show up halfway. When you need him, he is there, fully, reliably, without needing to be asked twice. This kind of consistency is extraordinarily rare. Life is busy. People are distracted. Most people show up when it's easy and convenient. A man who shows up even when it's hard, even when it requires sacrifice, even when no one else would know or care. That man is acting from something deeper than obligation or friendship. He is acting from love.